Diddy is currently in jail with every dirty little secret of his life spilling out.
Combs allegedly planned and controlled the sex performances, which he called freak-offs, and he often electronically recorded them. The freak-offs sometimes lasted days at a time, involved multiple commercial sex workers.
In the process, Diddy is currently in jail with every dirty little secret of his life spilling out.
Combs allegedly planned and controlled the sex performances, which he called freak-offs, and he often electronically recorded them. The freak-offs sometimes lasted days at a time, involved multiple commercial sex workers.
In the process, all of those who've maintained that Diddy is a terrible person for years are now being vindicated.
You never stood next to nobody because you studied the 48 Laws of Power.
Nah, man, that's whack. And he knew exactly what I meant because he'd been standing next to something his entire career.
Right.
He stood next to Biggie. He put hot on him. He stood next to Mace. He stood next to Jock. Puffy might be the destination for anybody going nowhere. Nobody survived.
With all of his bail packages denied, one of which was worth $50 million, things just keep going from bad to worse for the bad boy CEO. And now, attorney Tony Busby recently revealed that he has 120 individuals ready to file lawsuits against Diddy in a press conference.
As I said, our law firms have been retained by 120 individuals at this point.
But while many of the identities of these are shielded from the public, what about the people that we know Diddy has wronged? Because from women to men that were recipients of his advances to artists who were once signed to his label, there are countless individuals who we know to have come out of the losing end of dealing with the man now known as the Diddler. It's your boy Luesta, and these are the victims of Diddy.
Diddler,
and when you're
crazy.
talking about those who've suffered at his hands, there's sadly no better place to start than with the R&B star whose life he made a living hell. Back in 2006, Cassie was a younger singer with a dream who was dating her producer Ryan Leslie. After hearing her debut track Me and You, Diddy set out to sign her to Bad Boy Records. And at the start, he looked to be invested in her as an artist.
So I wanted to get us all together so we could get this, everybody can hear from me how focused and excited I am about the project. I wanted, Cassie to, everybody.
Everyone who hates ads will be using this Chrome extension by 2025. I feel like I just found a Google cheat code. It's a Chrome extension.
Cassie, y'all know that.
But as soon as he got her name on the dotted line, it looks like the nature of the relationship changed. Ryan and Cassie split, and soon after, Diddy reportedly made his move. Before long, she became the face of the Sean John fashion brand. It wasn't until 2012 that their relationship was officially confirmed to the public, but by all accounts, it was going on for years. But what the public didn't know at the time was that behind the scenes, Diddy was subjecting the R&B star to systematic abuse for nearly a decade. According to Cassie's lawsuit filed in November of 2023, Diddy allegedly began a pattern of control and abuse that included giving her drugs, beating her, and forcing her to engage in sexual acts with male prostitutes while he filmed the encounters. The suit also claims that in 2018, near the end of their relationship, Diddy forced his way into her home and assaulted her. Ms. Ventura further stated that she was given copious amounts of drugs, including ecstasy and ketamine, and that Diddy became violent, beating her multiple times each year. They settled out of court after Diddy initially denied the allegations, with his lawyer stating that for the past 6 months, Mr. Combs has been subjected to Ms. Ventura's persistent demand of $30 million under the threat of writing a damaging book about their relationship, which was unequivocally rejected as blatant blackmail. But unfortunately, everything she said would be vindicated when horrifying footage of the Bad Boy Records mogul attacking her in a hotel hallway came to light.
Disturbing new video appears to support some of the accusations of abuse against music mogul Sean Diddy Combs.
The surveillance footage that was captured inside of a Los Angeles hotel in 2016 allegedly shows Combs assaulting then-girlfriend Cassie Ventura in a hallway. A now settled lawsuit filed by Ventura claimed that she was trying to leave the hotel after a drunken Combs punched her. The video appears to show Combs chasing her down the hall, throwing her to the ground, and then repeatedly kicking her.
Where all the rumors about Diddy were just hearsay up until this point, it was this footage that made people realize what kind of monster had been allowed to have such power, wealth, and influence for so many years.
They talk about his victims.
If he does this in a hotel hallway, God only knows how bad it
Why
is
not?
somewhere private. Allegedly, he is there violently beating
She's
a woman
pussy.
on camera. There is no allegedly. As a result, every interaction between the two is now seen through a new lens.
I wanted to ask you, can't wait to see 3 a.m.
Yes.
The controversy.
Yeah.
To ask you, can't wait to see 3 a.m.
Yes.
The controversy.
Yeah.
In all videos of the two, the subtle body language exhibited the unwavering hold he had on her. He snatched her waist, and I also saw how he looked at her. This is pure control. If she stayed with him any longer, she might have not lived long enough to tell anyone or file a civil suit. But as it turns out, his actions on the red carpet or in hotel lobbies was just a drop in the ocean. Because if many eyewitness accounts are to be believed, he made it clear that he was in control in front of others as well. In an interview from before everything came to light, former bad boy Shyne, Young Jock, revealed that he saw the full extent of Puff's hold over her during a trip to Miami. Initially, things seemed innocent enough as he and his wife went to chill with Cassie and his boss. But after they arrived at the popular nightclub Live, Jock got an eye-opening look at how he and Cassie's relationship worked behind the scenes.
I was watching Puff. The nigga Puff was looking up there. He saw this white woman. Puff jumped out. Me and Cassie sitting next to each other. My wife right here, Cassie right here. The nigga jumped off the bar, came over and said, yo, Cassie, tomorrow, I want you to shave the side of your head. And I was like, what the fuck kind of request is that? So when I look up there, this white woman's side of her head was shaved, my nigga. So within like 2-3 days, she sent me a picture. I'm like, she done shaved her motherfucking head.
But as we know now, that was just skimming the surface of what was really going on. Reportedly, things escalated to the point where Cassie blindly submitted to Combs to avoid vicious beatings. According to her lawsuit, the abuse eventually extended to sex trafficking, with Combs allegedly ordering her to cover herself in oil, get high and drunk, and engage in sexual acts with male sex workers while he pleasured himself and filmed the encounters. Cassie, a participant in many of his so-called freak-offs, reportedly learned to disassociate during these horrific encounters. At the time that she first sued him, Ventura was likely only thinking of getting justice for herself. However, what no one knew at the time was that this would result in a domino effect, which has led to so many people coming out and speaking their truth about encounters with Puffy. Y'all don't understand how Cassie coming out damn near helped every single person that worked for Diddy or had a relationship with him. He got money, power, major connections, etc. You can't just go at him by yourself. But while Cassie and other accusers may get to see Diddy suffer for his crimes, not everyone who was caught up in his vicious web was so lucky, including the mother of 3 of his children, who went to her grave without seeing him get his comeuppance.
Introducing Prop Money Inc.'s new Real Age. This isn't your typical prop money you've seen from us over.
Initially, Puff and Kim first met when she was working as a receptionist at Uptown Records, which is the company that Puff worked for before founding his own label, Bad Boy Records. Over the years, they had a rocky on-off-again relationship, which began in the 90s and lasted until 2007. After that, they remained close until 2018, when the actress and model would tragically pass away from what was said to be natural causes. At the time, Diddy said her passing broke his heart, and when he received a Lifetime Achievement Award at the BET Awards in 2022, he paid tribute to her in a special performance.
Hey baby girl Kim, this one is for you. Check this out. Come on. Yeah, it's kinda hard with you not around. Know you in heaven smiling down, watching us while we pray for you.
But as it turned out, this was only one side of the relationship, as behind the scenes, there was a cycle of violence, infidelity, and abuse that played out in front of the eyes of Bad Boys' staff. According to Roger Bonds, a former bodyguard of Diddy's, seeing Puff put hands on her was nothing out of the ordinary.
How many fights did you see, physical fights, did you see between Kim Porter and Puffy?
I seen 3.
3?
Damn. Yeah.
Okay, and that's the first one?
That was the first one.
Name me the other 2.
The other 2 was one time when we went to Kim's house and Puff was banging on the door, banging on the door, banging on the door. The rumors were that she was inside with a guy and he was like, yo, we not leaving here. We not leaving here until I get in this house. And I was like, yo, it's 12 o'clock at night, Puff. What are we doing? He was like, yo, she's in the house. She's in the house. And he was going around to every window trying to get in and everything else. So the next day when they got together, they went into the room and I heard some tussling and stuff like that.
On another occasion, he recalled things getting physical at the Beverly Hills Hotel. But at this point, Kim let it be known that she wasn't going to lie down and take it anymore.
But he said, yo, get out the car, Bonds, and I got out the car. And next thing I knew, I seen the car rumbling, shaking. I opened up the door and said, yo, we in front of the Beverly Hills Hotel. So then Kim got out the car, she fixed her hair, and she said, I want to explain. Put your hands on me again, and you're gonna have to explain this scratch that I'm about to put on your face. And Kim got to the point where she wasn't going for it. She wasn't having it. She knew that if she at least fought back, that it was a chance that she could leave a mark on him. And if she left a mark on him, he had a lot of explaining to do of what that mark was about.
Over time, Kim would try her utmost to defend herself, and as infamous bad boy security guard Gene Deal revealed later down the line, there was one time where she almost killed him in the process.
One night, when they were at home, he wanted to, put his hands on her in the wrong way. And Kim took one of those corkscrews and ripped his wrist up and hit an artery. And when she did that, he had to rush over to St. Luke's Hospital.
During Puff's rise to fame, it became clear to everyone that there was something deeply wrong about his relationship with Porter, and that his beating on her was basically an open secret. In another interview, former Bad Boy artist Mark Curry claimed that in addition to assaulting her to the point that she needed corrective surgery on her nose, he wiretapped her phone. But this wasn't due to anything Kim had done wrong. It was all down to Puff's paranoia.
Speaking of Kim Porter, because you knew Kim Porter, is it true that Diddy broke her nose?
Bust her nose, man. It was all, insecurities. Anytime a man would go out his way to wiretap someone's phone or put taps in their homes just to monitor their conversation, that's a sign of insanity. So when you see someone doing that, what do you think he's going to do if he found her on the phone talking to someone and or feels that she's cheating on him or somebody sleeping with his girl? What you think he's going to say? Ooh, I caught you. Ooh, I heard this. Nah, he's going to come in with it's going to be a fight.
As I said earlier, Kim Porter passed away from pneumonia in 2018, leaving her kids and Puffy to mourn her premature loss. But not everyone believes that story. In fact, Gene Deal outlined that the official narrative didn't ring true to him at all.
Allegedly, Kim was fine the day before and the day of her death, and then now she found in the bed dead from pneumonia. That just don't sound right, bro. That don't sound right at all.
So you feel the same way about her death being suspect? I
don't think nobody in America thinks it's nothing suspicious about Kim's death, bro. If you are rich like that, Kim had a net worth of like, what, 12 million a year or something like that? Kim could have called any doctor to come over and look at her. Everything is suspicious about her death, bro. And I don't think an autopsy was done on her. And if it was a half-ass job.
Later in that same conversation, he actually went one further, claiming that Diddy might have been responsible for her death.
What I really believe is that they might got into a little spat, a little fight, something went down, and Puff did that play fighting stuff that he always do, and that pillow fighting stuff, and probably smothered her. But I wouldn't say that on the air. I wouldn't let people know that he probably smothered her to death, and because she had a bad cold or she felt some kind of way, that she died having that play fight with the pillow fights and everything, and smothered her.
Although this is unconfirmed and is just a theory from Gene, it seems obvious that throughout the relationship, Kim was abused at the hands of Diddy. Because of how long she was with him, some people have wondered if the late Porter was involved in all of the freak-offs or other activities that Diddy was getting up to. But her lawyer and friend Suzanne Bracker claimed that she was completely unaware.
I don't think Kim ever knew of these freak-offs, of his private sexual fantasies and his sex life in that way. Had she known about it, she would definitely not have participated in it. She didn't want him with other women, and he didn't want her with other men. So he would not have shared her with anybody. It was quite a different relationship that he had with Kim than he had with Cassie. Cassie was much younger than Kim, and Cassie was not the mother of his children. So he treated them much differently. I know so much gossip that I can't even tell anybody about it because I would like to keep those confidences of her. But I do want to say that she never knew about these parties. She didn't know about his extracurricular activities in that vein.
Whether or not you buy that, it still doesn't excuse the horrendous things he is said to have done to Porter.
Yeah.
But reportedly, it's not just women who are at the risk of being traumatized by Diddy. Just ask one music producer who thought he had the opportunity of his dreams, only for it to turn into a nightmare. Rodney Lil Rod Jones had produced records for the likes of Big Boy and Jack Harlow before he met up with Diddy, but it was on Puff's latest record that the two worked in very close proximity. Unfortunately, no one knew just how close. After the record was released, Lil Rod gradually started speaking out about the treatment he received at the hands of Diddy, and initially it was all centered on disputes over money.
Been working on an album. I took a year off straight working on this album. That album is the Love album, Off the Grid by Diddy, and it's Grammy nominated right now as we speak. I should be celebrating, but the truth is I'm not. Taking this album on has required so much time at a time, 16 hours to 24 hours a day. Sometimes Diddy will request certain works to be done and tell us don't go to sleep until it's done, and the truth is we'll be up for days trying to accomplish that. I've tried to get my business straight with them on this album, but the truth is they're not playing fair. They hit me on below the belt on so many situations. Just deal.
Stupid, man.
Over the course of the video, Rod made it clear that he was shaken by the whole thing and his emotions were about to bubble to the surface.
Taking my publishing or stealing it is just, I'm not going to let that happen. Again, this is one of those projects that took so much time from me. I missed holidays working on this album. At what point I was running around with the hard drives, the computer, just to run the ball on this album, to finish the production on it, make sure that this album came to, you know, a good project with good vibes, just where it is right now. And just to be offered little to no participation in this is highly disrespectful. I won't be that guy 20, 30 years from now looking back saying, I wish I'd done this. I'm gonna do this now.
As we would soon find out, the publishing dispute was just the tip of the iceberg. Soon, Rod filed a lawsuit. He claimed Diddy sexually assaulted him throughout the process of making the Love album together. Seeking $30 million in damages, Rod's claim includes numerous instances where Puff would grope his genitals, or said that he'd have to have sex with a man to get ahead in the game, as it was commonplace in the industry. In the lawsuit, Rodney recounted an incident where he woke up at 4 a.m. the following morning, naked with a sex worker sleeping next to him. He also claimed that Puff created a bizarre environment where he was forced to work in a bathroom while Combs showered and walked around naked. Additionally, it has been suggested that disgraced actor Cuba Gooding Jr. was involved. Rodney further accused Combs of engaging in sex trafficking and covering up a shooting. Although Diddy's lawyers have dismissed his claims just like everyone else's, Rod seems to be really suffering in the aftermath of all he experienced. He's a monster, Jones told Rolling Stone in an interview. He'll do whatever is necessary to get exactly what he wants. He doesn't take no for an answer. He told me himself, I'll smack my mama. Anybody who can say that even jokingly is a monster. In that same interview, he claimed that because of how powerful Diddy is, he lived in fear of his life. He's very connected. It made me nervous traveling, going to hotels. I asked if there's any way to remove my name. The last time I landed in LA, I knew he had connections there. I got off the plane worried. I masked my face and changed my outfits. I've gotten 3 therapists. Everybody saw the video of Cassie. This is who I'm dealing with. There have been too many people trying to figure out where I'm at. I moved locations, moved states. Everything is.
That when they came down? You still look sleepy.
Yeah.
That's how you be looking. Are you all up in her face?
Private.
Stupid.
My mom doesn't even know where I live. It's been like that pretty much all year. In Lil Rod's case, the abuse he suffered seemed to have been mostly physical. But there are some who managed to narrowly escape his sexual advances when they were entrusting him to turn them into a star. For years, Diddy was a mainstay on MTV with his reality series Making the Band. Back then, his status as a tough, often chaotic boss was played up as comedy. However, since the show ended, some of its alumni have faced tough times. In particular, the first girl group to emerge from making the band had an incredibly difficult experience under Diddy's watch, one they are still struggling to recover from to this day. Formed in 2005, Danity Kane went on to be hugely successful during their initial run under Bad Boy, even racking up a #1 album with their debut. Their next album repeated the feat, before they broke up in early 2009. But it wasn't all just success, as there were far more horrifying things going on behind the scenes. According to Gene Deal, the group was actively in danger.
He stood up there and he said in front of a lot of people, we were in the studio, and I said something to him and walked out the studio. He said, yo, I'm gonna drug their ass off and pick them out to my nigga. I'm gonna get them all on drugs, and I'm gonna pimp their ass out to my nigga. I was like, them somebody kids, and walked out.
However, it's not just Gene who's saying that there was something foul going on. In terms of who's spoken out from the group, the most vocal member is definitely Aubrey O'Day. Long before anyone else, Aubrey was claiming that Diddy was a fundamentally bad guy and had to try and escape his sexual advances. And when she turned them down, it led to her getting kicked from the group.
I wasn't willing to do what was expected of me. Not talent-wise, but in other areas. It's difficult when you're that young to understand your worth as a woman through the men that I was around, and that was very traumatic. I don't think any of us have healed from that. Diddy would be like, you're not hot anymore, like what happened? You don't have anything, like you don't have any curves. You're looking like you're not looking like, I can't get people to think that you're my good-looking person. And there was no Me Too at that time. There was no protecting anyone at that time. You signed 1 million NDAs and 1 million contracts that took away all your rights.
In a No Jumper interview, Aubrey went in depth to discuss the culture that surrounded the label, revealing that they were pretty much brainwashed to crave Diddy's approval.
And I'm finding out so many times, even very early on, where Diddy
Damn fucking ad. There's a good chance somebody's trying to hack your website right now.
Oh, okay.
He was making comments like, oh, now you're well, like you look right, I could you now. And things like that. I don't even remember.
Really?
And I asked my girlfriend when she recalled that. My girlfriend, who is a therapist for UCLA and has nothing to do with the entertainment industry and wants no part in it. She said she remembers when he said that to me, and then I said, what did I do? And she said, you kind of looked at me and said, he finally thinks I'm pretty. That was what I thought in that moment. Now, I don't recall that, but she recalled it very clearly. And I think that it's just so telling for what a woman goes through in a systemic problem.
Aubrey has been banging this drum for years, but recently, her former bandmate Dawn Richard has come forward with her own story. An artist who was not only in Danity Kane, but the later group Diddy Dirty Money, Dawn's lawyer issued a lawsuit which claimed that, over the decades following his rise to fame, Mr. Combs' star-studded, larger-than-life persona overshadowed his vicious temper and pervasive acts of violence directed towards those in his inner circle, specifically women. In terms of what he did to her directly, Richard said in a complaint that Combs would often come into her dressing room unannounced. While she was working with a stylist, he would touch her butt and around her breasts to signal where the clothing should fall, according to the lawsuit. Combs also regularly asked her to strip down to her underwear in rehearsals, smacked Richard on the butt, and conducted meetings in only his underwear. Apparently, she also tried to get Cassie to leave Diddy, and when the word got back to him, she was met with threats, such as, you wanna die today? And I end people. Apparently, Richard also saw the late Kim Porter leaving a recording studio crying with face injuries. As always, Diddy's team has denied it all. But these stories are so consistent with what's come to be known about Puff's behind-the-scenes behavior that this could be another case waiting to happen. Although many of these cases will be a matter for the judges, some women who've had run-ins with Puff just seem to want to tell their story. And in the case of Nikki Heaton, her tale is not only horrifying, but it implicates another megastar in Kanye West. Back in 2014, this former YouTube cover artist began to make major moves in the industry when her track Bad Intentions with Migos picked up some major buzz. For a brief moment, she was the toast of the industry, and this meant that people suddenly wanted to meet her. Not least of all, Diddy and Kanye West. And on one fateful night, she went to the studio to meet them, only for Diddy to try and drug her before Ye and Puff apparently assaulted her.
Immediately, I'm like, there's something fucking in this drink. There's something in this drink. And I didn't know what to do. And they're coming towards me more and they're trying to like take my clothes off. And I'm like at that point where I'm like, this is not good, but I'm like still trying to like play it off. Just like, stop, you guys are fucking stupid. Like, get out of here, like don't touch me.
Despite her attempts to calm things down, it just kept escalating. And sadly, even as she asked for assistance, others turned a blind eye in favor of the powerful men in her midst.
I'm like, you guys stop, like stop. And they're getting to the point where they have like ripped my shirt off. And like I'm like almost fully exposed at this point. And this is the part that for as long as I live, I will never fucking forget. It isn't actually the aspect of being sexually assaulted. That's not what haunts me. It's this. As these two grown men were pawing at me, trying to take my clothes off, I look over to this man asking for help, and I literally mouth the word help. And we lock eyes, and he looks away. And I was like, oh shit. No one's fucking saving me tonight. No one's gonna do anything. No one's gonna do fucking anything. And that's when I was truly fucking scared.
Thankfully, Nikki eventually escaped and ran to an Uber, but the situation has left her scarred for life. Although these stories have gotten the most publicity, it's not just the people in the limelight that suffered at Diddy's hands. Instead, it was just people who happened to be around him. Just look at the disturbing case of April Lampros. According to her lawsuit, Lampros was a university student who was interning for Arista Records when she first met Puff. After being convinced to go on a date with him, it's said that he took advantage of her. Over time, this built into an abusive and coercive relationship where she ultimately felt that she had to do whatever he said or there would be consequences. She felt that if she disobeyed him, he would take away her dreams of pursuing a career in this world, the lawsuit alleges. Mr. Combs would also threaten to blacklist her in the industry if she tried to mess with him in any way. Miss Lampros' dreams and everything she's been working hard for were in the palm of his hands. The suit also claimed that she was made to have sex with Kim Porter, and while Lampros vocally opposed the idea, Combs quickly reminded her that she had no control over the situation as he could make her lose her job. As a result of defendant Combs' conduct, the lawsuit adds, Lampros has suffered and continues to suffer harm, including physical injury, severe emotional distress, humiliation, anxiety, and other consequential damages for which she is entitled to an award of monetary damages and other relief. Sadly, tales like April's don't appear to be uncommon in the music world, let alone Puffy's past. In all likelihood, there's probably more where that came from too. But while what Diddy did to these people was monstrous, it should be noted that Diddy has a whole other set of victims as well, including the former signees of his record label and anyone else in the industry that he felt that crossed him. So let's start with his former right-hand man, who is now savoring his downfall. Mace was talented beyond his years. An MC from Harlem, Diddy grabbed him at a young age and quickly took the neighborhood kid from rags to riches in a matter of months.
You met Puff on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
Friday, you was recording your album.
No, I was recording Only You.
I was recording Only You.
And once that record came out, it was probably like a week or two later. And then I was showing up at a video to
everything was taken from me.
Like a Puff.
Do Only You, so it was that fast.
Soon, Mace became one of the flagship artists, and at 22, he went from being Puff's hype man to score a #1 album with Harlem World. But over time, Mace grew discontented with what he was getting from the industry, and at the height of his fame, he left to become a minister. The Harlem World artist then returned in 2004, but things were never the same between himself and Puff.
I never got paid what I was worth, and I never got the respect I was worth. So the disdain that I got for Puff is more like, you trying to keep me here, nigga? I'm not here. All my peers is up here. All my peers are bosses. When it's time, just like somebody raised somebody up, you know they did work with you, they go from your little man to maybe A&R to something else. He just kept trying to keep me right here, like he didn't want me to grow at anything.
Now, years after it all went down, people are realizing that Mace was right and that he was truly taken advantage of by Diddy. Particularly as it was later revealed that Diddy bought Mace's publishing rights for just $20,000 and refused to pay him any more despite Mace's platinum-selling records. To make matters worse, even when Mace offered to buy it back, Diddy still wouldn't sell it to him, even though Mace had the money ready. Your response was, if I can match what the European guy offered him, that would be the only way I can get it back. Mace wrote following Diddy's 2020 Grammy speech about ownership. or else I can wait until I'm 50 years old and it will revert back to me when I was 19 years old. You bought it for about 20K and I offered you $2 million in cash. This is not black excellence at all. Since then, Mace has continued to be a vocal critic of Diddy and said that his whole love persona was hypocritical.
I see the hurt and the pains of other people on Bad Boy. That motivates me to say something so I don't be deemed as a person who just made a bunch of money and turned a blind eye. I'm not gonna be like the rest of the people around Puff that don't tell him he's wrong. I'm not gonna be like the yes men around him that see him ruining people's lives and never tell him he's wrong. More people on here will tell me I'm wrong, but won't say anything to him. They'll judge my beliefs, they'll judge my Christianity, and they'll say nothing to Puff. They'll say nothing about is a concert for Biggie and Biggie's own daughter couldn't get in. They'll say nothing about that. But all of his friends got 50 and 60 tickets. We're done with your games.
In 2023, it was revealed by Mace's friend and podcast co-host Cameron that he finally got his publishing back. However, if Mace's response to the whole situation that Puff now faces is anything to go by, it ain't all water under the bridge.
What's up, man? How you doing?
Killer, I'm doing good, man. Reparations is getting closer and closer. The big payback.
For Mace, the dispute mostly seemed to come down to the money he believes Puff had stolen from him. But for this next artist, Puff took something that you can't get back. At one time, Shyne was hailed as the next Biggie. If you've ever heard him rap, you'll know that he even sounded just like him. But before he could ever release his debut album on Bad Boy in September of 2000, Shyne was already incarcerated in connection to a shooting at Club New York that left 3 people wounded. At the time of the shooting, Puff was right there alongside him, and it was apparently a verbal altercation that the CEO had gotten into that led to the bullets flying. Still, it was Shyne that was convicted of assault with a deadly weapon, and at 18 years old, he headed into prison for 9 years. In the aftermath, Shyne revealed that he was basically abandoned by Puff. Honestly, he never did anything to help after the shooting. As soon as we were indicted, he wanted to keep me away from him. He didn't even want me to put my album out. Throughout the trial, it's like, you get out of this however you can, and I'm gonna get out of this however I can. It was never, this is the young man that used to live with me, be with me all the time, under my guidance. This is the young man who was with me that night, and we are all going to get out of this together. When you're with someone all the time, it is incumbent upon you to do that. Shyne said of his loyalty to Diddy, we should go through it together. We live together. We die together. That's just the kind of person I am. Unfortunately, Shyne's devotion to Diddy was misplaced, as his freedom was sold out in favor of Puff being able to continue his career. Eventually, Shyne would be released and decided to forgive Puff, but he never returned to rap. Instead, he became a politician in his native Belize after being deported there, eventually becoming a member of their parliament. Although Shyne has moved on, he discussed Diddy's recent hardships in an interview, reflecting on the personal toll those events had taken on him.
When I was a 18-year-old kid, just wanting to do nothing other than make my mother proud and make Belize proud and do what all of us want to do, be recognized for our talent and take over the world. I was defending him, and he turned around and called witnesses to testify against me, and he pretty much sent me to prison. That is the context by which you must always describe that relationship. Yes, I forgave, I moved on, but let us not pretend as if I was in Miami for Thanksgiving. This is someone who destroyed my life.
After Shyne made these comments, some of Puff's other affiliates backed him up, claiming that Diddy really did set him up to take the fall and go to jail.
Shyne, what he said about him being an 18-year-old kid, he was right. He should have known better than to pull out that gun in the club and start shooting. He should have known better. Puff had enough security there, and that night, Wolf, his people, and a couple of security guards, if they needed to do that, let them take care of that. So he has to take responsibility for his own action, which I think he's done. Shyne is a politician. They're gonna take money, they're gonna take trips, they're gonna take a lot of shit to help their political rise. Now, did Puff ruin his life? Yeah, because Puff helped the prosecutor put Shyne behind bars by getting the witnesses, and giving them to the prosecutor so Shyne could have that fall.
For Shyne, his victimhood was clear to see, but others refused to be held down by Diddy and wound up at the top by any means necessary. Among the most legendary trios in hip-hop, Jadakiss, Styles P, and Sheek Louch, otherwise known as the Lox, helped define the sound of the rugged New York hip-hop in the 90s. And after a few people tried to sign them, they wound up going with Bad Boy.
When we signed with Bad Boy, they was like the Chicago Bulls or the Lakers in the early 80s, you know what I mean? It was a no-brainer. B.I. was there. The whole world was trying to get next to B.I. was there. he embraced us, so that was a priceless feeling. You know what I mean? Being down with Diddy, the mogul of moguls, and being with Big, the lyricist of lyricists. Yeah, it's the sandwich you don't mind being a part of.
Within weeks of signing, the group would be indulging in a lifestyle that went far beyond anything that their upbringing had afforded them. As Sheek Louch put it, with Diddy, it felt like he was always celebrating something. It wasn't long before things would start to go a little south. First, he robbed them of their original name, Warlocks, claiming it wasn't marketable. Then he switched up their wardrobe, forcing them to go with the shiny suit look that he'd helped make popular in that era. All in all, they wound up releasing only one album with Puff's label, Money, Power, Respect, before bailing on the deal. But their departure wasn't smooth sailing, and things got combustible to the point that they were hurtling furniture at him.
Jadakiss threatening to throw a refrigerator on Diddy actually did the trick. A month after that explosive exchange, Styles P broke the news to Angie Martinez that Diddy gave them all their publishing back. And the fact that they've got throwing a chair at Diddy and threatening to throw a fridge on him on their resume, well, that just makes them even more iconic.
On top of that, they led a grassroots Free the Lox campaign at Summer Jam, and in the end, they were only released after he charged them $3 million to get out their contract. In the aftermath, they signed with DMX's Rough Riders imprint, but they still couldn't let it go, and even kicked the outfits Puff used to make them perform in.
These are the joints that made us famous. Just showing the transformation that we hate. This was the old us, so we gotta come out like this. We was this. Now we are the streets, but we really was never this. We was always the streets. They just made us throw these on.
But they weren't just being petty. They still had every right to be pissed off. Mainly because Diddy had once again trapped young artists in an unfair deal where he made the lion's share off their publishing and retained the rights. Imagine working for years and years, hard work, and somebody that has nothing to do with it is getting the bulk of it. Styles P said of Diddy retaining 50% of the group's publishing. In response, Puff refused to budge and acted like it was all their fault. Don't feel sorry for people that are lazy and then blame it on the other person, he said in response. They are not on top of their business, but they need to get on top of it. Manage your life. Sit at home by yourself and read your contract word for word. There's books that I have for them, like Publishing 101. Eventually, things continued to heat up to the point that during a now legendary Hot 97 interview from 2005, the crew went off on Diddy and aired out his entire operation.
Ooh. I don't know what better way to put it to you. Like, it's like if you was coming to this job every day, right? And you putting in your hours, you know, you did what you did to make yourself the voice in New York. And I'm in the cut somewhere taking half of your money for what you do, like.
That's the label? Taking half of your money?
No, that's not the label. That's
publishing. That's Puffy.
That's publishing.
But it was clear that this wasn't just business. In fact, this dispute over their publishing led to Jadakiss delivering one of the most infamous.
This is what $500,000 in a duffel bag looks like, but if you look closer, it's actually not real. That's because it's actually prop money. It's what is used in movies, TV, music videos, and ads when the script calls for tons of cash or for the bills to be destroyed. It looks realistic from a distance, but up close you can see it says for motion picture purposes. I got these from propmoney.com. They're the official industry standard. I also got some stacks from different decades, from the 90s, 2000s, and even money bands. You can get full print stacks and even blank filler stacks and
unintentionally hilarious threats in hip-hop history.
No security guard could stop.
How much money are we talking? How much money are we talking?
Off a skyscraper, stainless steel with the double door joints.
It took all the way till 2022 for the Lox to finally get their publishing back, making this just another episode where people got a good look at how Diddy really conducted his business. Puff ran Bad Boy the way Vince McMahon ran WWE, pretty much evil. Although people like the Lox, Shyne, and Mace all underwent hardships while signed to his label, one thing they can say is that they at least escaped with their lives. Because unfortunately, not everyone was that lucky. In fact, it is believed that Diddy played a major role in orchestrating the beef that would claim the lives of not just one, but two of the biggest stars hip-hop has ever seen. Over the years, there's been plenty of hearsay about whether Puff had a role in the death of Tupac. And for the most part, Diddy has tried to shrug it off.
Now, it was this documentary that claimed, which we know wasn't true.
Yeah, check this out. We don't talk about things that are nonsense. We don't even entertain nonsense, my brother. So we're not even going to go there, with all due respect, but I appreciate you as a journalist asking. Thank you.
Because listen, 7 years ago, I'd have been like, yo, did you hire somebody to kill Pac? But no, you do it like a journalist.
Yeah, no, I mean, we wouldn't even get into nonsense like that.
But there are those who believe that when it comes down to it, Puff ultimately set the wheels in motion that resulted in the East Coast-West Coast beef, and by extension, the deaths of Pac and Biggie. In case you didn't know, Biggie and Pac weren't always enemies. In fact, they were initially friends and hung out together on many occasions. But an ambush at Quad Studios where Tupac was shot 5 times was about to change everything. Because in the aftermath, Pac claimed he was set up by Puff.
So, do you think Puffy was involved in the shooting?
Only they can answer that question. I have my own opinion, but I wouldn't slander their name like they did mine. I wouldn't say things that I knew, you know what I mean? I believe so. I do believe so. I have proved things that I can say that will back up my claim, but this is not for the world to know about. You know what I mean? It's between me and him, and only he knows. So every time he say it didn't happen, or that's the only thing that makes this become an issue to everybody.
Both now and to this day, Puffy denied any involvement in that fateful shooting.
I mean, my recollection of the story was I was shooting a video, the second half of Warning, which is on the B side of Big Papa. And I was shooting that around the block, and I heard my man was up at the studio doing a Junior Mafia session. So I got off at the reception area, and I saw Andre and Little Sean. So I saw him saying, what's up to me? I'm about to get on the elevator, and he comes out shot.
But it seems like he hasn't successfully convinced most people of that, including himself. Puffy looks guilty as fuck in this interview. Big had no idea Puff had a hit out on Pac. As you know by now, this ignited a feud between Biggie and Pac that resulted in classic diss tracks like Hit 'Em Up. Refusing to take his foot off Biggie and Puff's necks, Pac became a real thorn in Bad Boy's side. And when Pac passed, it wasn't like Puff was out there offering his condolences. But it seems like it might have gone deeper than that, and if the man who is currently on trial for Pac's death is to be believed, Puffy actively called in the hit. In recent years, a LA gangster called Keefe D has made his presence felt online, and claimed that he was intimately involved in the killing of Tupac alongside longtime suspect, the late Orlando Anderson. And in a leaked audio confession, he revealed that Puffy offered him $1 million to carry out the hit through a mutual friend by the name of Zip.
Tell him we'll do it for $1 million, and he's like, okay, I'll do it for $1 million. He agrees, you shake on it or something like that?
Yeah.
What happened?
Gentleman, he like, man, we'll wipe their ass out quick, you know, it's nothing.
Who brought up the amount of $1 million?
Shit, he did.
Puffy did it? Okay. Wasn't you?
No, it wasn't me. $1 million out there. Yeah, take it for 50. You know what I'm saying? Shit.
So he brought up them $1 million.
Yeah.
Soon, they would get their opportunity on the evening of a Mike Tyson fight in Vegas. And shortly after Orlando Anderson got into an altercation with Tupac and Suge in the lobby, they allegedly followed him and pulled off the deadly drive-by.
When he looks over at you, and then, Tupac's busy getting shot, evidently, the story is Tupac's trying to either get out of the
back seat or something.
Yeah, what do you see happening inside of their car?
I seen a bullet going Suge head. I thought he was dead.
So Orlando shot him across Dre?
He leaned over on the window, we rolled down the window, popped. Who was it? They would drove on my side, I would popped them. You know what I'm saying? But they was on the other side.
Right.
Afterwards, it was reported that Diddy got on the phone and immediately asked if it was a hit that he had orchestrated.
So immediately in the aftermath, Diddy hears about the shooting, finds out that there's, Tupac's been shot and is in the hospital. And according to Keefe D, gets a phone call. He's actually with Zip, the intermediary, and they're back in LA, and Zip takes a phone call, and it's Puffy on the other end of the line, hands the phone to Keefe D, and Puffy asks him, man, was that us? Was it, what just happened out there? Keefe D's like, yeah, that's us.
Although Puffy has never publicly broached these rumors, Gene Deal has since confirmed that Keefe was around the Bad Boy crew. In fact, he even said if it came down to it, he would testify in court.
They can ask me, did I see Keefe D? Yes, I did. Was he around? Yes, he was. In what capacity was he around? Gambling, having fun, drinking, and talking. Did he ever did security? No, he did not. Did he use his manpower, his dudes around him, around us, and people could thought they was a part of us, yes, they were. If they want me to testify, I'm going to testify and tell them what I know, what I seen, the times I seen him.
But even if Puff did greenlight the killing, he may still manage to escape on a technicality, because apparently, according to TK Kirkland, that money has never made it to Keef.
Well, the story that has circulated was that after Tupac got killed, Puffy allegedly gave the money to Zip.
Yes.
And Zip was supposed to give the money to Keefy and them,
yes,
but he never gave the money to him.
But thank God he never gave him the money, right? Think about it. If he gave the money, Puffy will be in prison now, a murder for hire.
Now, almost 30 years on from the killing, Keefy D is standing trial for Pac's murder. And just prior to going in, he was asking Puff for help and saying that he essentially ruined his life.
I was on top of the world till I met your motherfucking ass, dude. Shit is wrong, dude. Come on, homie. I need something. Throw a dog a bone or something. Sit up there talking about you, daddy love. Show us some love.
Afraid.
Mr. Love, I be watching you, dude. Damn, you ain't said shit or keep your ear or nothing. You walk around me like I'm some shit on the grass or something. God damn, dog. You can get in contact with me, man. Nigga, there's ways around that shit, dude. Throw my kids something. Throw somebody kids something. God damn.
Now indicted on one count of murder with use of a deadly weapon, plus a gang enhancement, the cops are now maintaining that Keefy was the on-ground on-site commander who ordered the death of Mr. Shakur and the attempted murder of Marion Suge Knight. But Tupac's family feel otherwise and have launched an investigation to discover the extent of Puffy's role in the case. But while Tupac was an enemy of Puff's, the craziest thing is that these days, he isn't the only one in the conflict who Puff was alleged to have had a role in the death of. Because if you ask some people, he knew more about Biggie's death than he let on as well. Just a year after Tupac's death, Biggie was tragically killed in a drive-by outside the Peterson Museum in LA. This tragedy rocked hip-hop to its core, and for decades now, it has remained unsolved. However, in a Diddy diss track entitled The Bomb, 50 Cent suggested that Diddy knows more than he's letting on.
Who shot Biggie Smalls? We don't get them, they gon' kill us all. Man, Puffy know who hit that nigga, man, that nigga soft. He scared them boys from the west side to break them off. Jump on his ass so we run the hall and shake him off.
As late as this year, 50's mentor Eminem seemed to suggest something similar on the track, spitting, Notorious B.I.G.'s death with the domino effects of Tupac's murder, like facial tissue, whose clock should I clean next? Puff's? Till he's in police handcuffs, guilty, will he step up? But while these might easily be brushed off as conspiracy theories, what's interesting is that some people who were formerly close to him have came forward. These days, Gene Deal insists that Diddy was in on it and arranged for Biggie to be where he was.
Prior to that, I had got a phone call from a guy called Waynesworth Hall. His street name was Unique from Mecca Audio. He was a drug kingpin. He said, yo, Gene. Nah, the girl Dawn called me. He said, yo, Unique is on the phone. I said, what's up, Unique? He said, vest up, and the phone hung up. Because what happens is, and I found this out, that if the feds find out it's a three-way call, they'll click off. They'll hang up the phone some kind of way.
Mm-hmm. In that same interview, Gene suggested that the killing stemmed from news that Biggie was intending to leave Bad Boy behind. And because that move would have been catastrophic for the label, calls were made to take him out before it could go through.
Clyde Davis and them had spent a lot of money to make Big into a superstar. If somebody write up a contract from another record label, Capitol, Atlantic, who you think they gonna tell first? They gonna tell the other head, yo, you know, your boy coming over here, you know, we got them, you know what I'm saying? He bringing us 6 groups. Lil' Kim had became a multi-platinum artist, you understand? Lil Caesar's a gold artist. So you think the two bosses of those record labels ain't friends, they don't know each other, and they not gonna tell each other what has been drawn up for them to go?
This theory was supported by others who believed that from the outset, Diddy was exploiting B.I.G. and that he was finally beginning to wake up to it. He was surprisingly broke before he died, living off cars and apartments in the Bad Boy Company's name. He was planning on leaving as soon as he fulfilled his album count on the contract, but who knows what Diddy would have done to him. To this day, Gene wishes he could have intervened, but there was too many pieces in motion for him to do anything before it was too late.
Clark Kent Clark Kent, the DJ, who was also a vice president of Motown Records at one time,
R.I.P. Clark
said,
Kent.
I was in Big's room that night before he got murdered. And I asked him what he was going to do. He said, D-Rock and Puff set this party up for me to go to. I carried that stuff on my heart for years because I thought that I could stop Big from going to that party.
Whether or not he had a role in these deaths, there's already enough of a trove of allegations to put Diddy in jail for the rest of his life. But his legal team are still trying their best to defend him. And the only problem is that because of how he treated everyone in his ascent, no one is coming out to stand by him. Diddy is the definition of doing people wrong to work your way to the top. Now nobody want to catch you when you fall down. At the moment, it looks like Diddy is going to go down as the biggest monster in hip-hop history. So much so that we haven't even covered all of his victims in this video, because I dedicated a whole video to the story of Justin Bieber's alleged grooming at the hands of Puff, as well as examining how Puff came into it. So you can check that out on the screen. As always, it's your boy Luesta, and I want to thank y'all for watching this video. Make sure you guys tune in for the next one in a couple of days. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll catch y'all on the next.